has witnessed the continued domination of the greatest faction ever assembled in professional wrestling. Courtesy of me, the fabulous Lana Star. Hey, if you haven't been paying attention, the Fabulous Four owns the WOW Tag Team Championship.
Boy, she's in
and
all
the
her glory
WOW
now.
World Title. And Vickie Lynn McCoy is the glue that holds it all together.
She's giving
Now
Vickie Lynn the credit.
You're not the strong, silent type, so I assume you have something you'd like to say.
When I have the microphone, you all be quiet. And all of you just witnessed the destruction that I left for Princess Aussie. I'm the enforcer of the Fabulous Four, and no one is coming for those championship titles. Do you understand me?
Does that mean she goes
Do you
against
understand what I'm
Penelope
saying?
Pink?
She'd have an argument for it. She wants to look out for herself.
Well, listen up and listen very, very clear. If you want to get to Miami's Sweet Heat or the women's champion Penelope Pink, you have to come through Vickie Lynn.
Well, there you have it, fans. For AJ Mendez, our executive producer, and Jeannie Buss.
Stay tuned for more from the Lana Star Show.
You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is another edition of the Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling Podcast, and this is your host, Mr. Green. Thank you for tuning in and listening and sharing your thoughts and hearing minds about the wonderful world of women's wrestling, and in this particular instance, WOW, Women of Wrestling. That has been the centerpiece of these episodes for weeks, months even, and I think I said it last week. There have been some ups on the WOW and there have been some downs, but you know, hey, they're still trucking along. But I will say that this week is a little better. You know what? Let me not take credit away from him. Not a little better. It's a lot better. Let's just jump right off into it. Let's get right into the show. Well, as you know, the show opens pretty much the same way. It's a opening sequence from David McClain, which has already been recorded. You know, the whole "Welcome to WOW." You know, that I wish they would. I wish they would change that. Just get a musical opening or something like that. You know, I've said it before. He does not need to be all over the show. He just doesn't. Yeah, I know it's his baby and everything, but good grief. The opening voice, the host, the interviewer, the matchmaker, the lead commentator, you don't have to be all over the show. Just, you know, let somebody else do the job. So anyway, they do that, and they set up the shows. They set up the matches for the show. Let's get my words in order here. They set up the matches for the show, and as always, we've got 4 of them within the course of the hour. So you know that you're not going to go past 5 or 6 minutes, maybe 8 for any given match. So the first match that we have here is a WOW. I can't really say original. She wasn't there from the first run of WOW, but we'll say she's a WoW favorite and a long-time WoW participant. That's probably a good way to put it. Keita Rush, she is taking on Chainsaw along with her, quote, sister, Angelica Dante, in her corner. One of the things I did note when I saw this is that it looks like Chainsaw's look has kind of changed again. She's gone through like 3 different looks in the time that I've seen her. I mean, and nothing wrong with changing the outfit. I'm just making a point of note. Hey, I'm running a podcast here. I got to make notes of these things. But yeah, she's got a different look for whatever reasons. So I don't know. One of the things I have to give them credit again. You know, I said it before in a different podcast, but I'm going to say it again. The production of this show is still better. It is better. I actually heard Keita Rush's theme song. And I dare anybody to go back to like the first month worth of WoW and tell me whose theme song you could actually hear and understand. I actually heard Keita Rush's song. And I still think that is an important part of the presentation of wrestling. You got to, those theme songs are part of the package. In some cases, it's the entire package. I mean, look, I enjoyed seeing the Sandman wrestle, but let's be honest, 70% of his presentation was the Sandman coming to the ring, drinking the beer, smoking the cigarette, letting the entirety of Enter the Sandman play. So, I mean, things like that. The glass break with Steve Austin. People jump up to their seat, stuff like that. And so, I'm glad. I am glad that they have lighten the production to where you can actually hear it, and maybe, just maybe, if it keeps going, people will start to react to the music. Who knows? This match was what I deemed it was a David and Goliath match. Keita Rush is not a large young lady. She's very fit and very capable. For those who hadn't seen her or heard her story, about her being bullied, I'll jump to the end to say that it encouraged her to do what she's doing in pro wrestling, and it also encouraged her to take up MMA. So she's capable. She's thrown herself fully into the mixed martial arts world. Not that she's competing in it necessarily, but she is in it, trains in it, trains other people in it, and it showed in this match. That's one thing I had to say. The other thing, I forgot about Chainsaw's outfit, even though she kind of looked like she got off work at the trash site. But she has a freaky looking apron that's got these, like, it looks like it's made out of human flesh and faces and whatnot. Just really weird, spooky, creepy looking stuff. So you have to give it something that she has that kind of presentation to her. Everybody in this match looked good. Quite honestly, everybody in the match looked the part. Keita, like I said, this was a David and Goliath type match, or maybe Davida and Goliath type match. The entirety of it was the story that was being told in the ring, and my gosh, how many times do we have matches on WoW where it's like, can they really tell the story just between the bell? And I have to say, as basic as this match was, as short as it might have been, they told their story bell to bell. It's easy to look at it without any context, without any plot line, without any angle, and without anything in front of it, and get the idea. Keita Rush is in this ring with somebody who's huge and clearly out of her mind. I can't take her down through nominal means, through the stuff that I would normally do. I got to try to rely on my speed. I got to try to rely on my quickness. I got to try to rely on perhaps some submission holds. It was this match. It was everything it needed to be. I can't really praise it much more than this match was everything that it needed to be. considering where they probably both are in their wrestling careers, the only thing that would have made it better is if they both had experience to make it a longer match, maybe. But this is the first time outing between the two of them, as far as WoW is concerned. But if you watch it, you'll see Keita Rush. She's trying to get her off her feet. She's trying to utilize her drop kicks. The first thing she did was roll out of the way, and then she rolled through and grabbed her foot, try to offset her balance. It didn't work, so she had to get moved from the stomp. I mean, it put Chainsaw back into the position of being the neighborhood monster of WoW. And I really think she should have never had any loss up until she ran up against Candy Crush. That should have been the first and only loss that she had up to date. This match did help in kind of erasing anything that she had prior to that. She still was a monster here. Keita got the chance to utilize some of her training outside of wrestling. She applied a freaking triangle hold on Chainsaw, and it gave Chainsaw the chance to utilize her strength. She picked her up from the mat and carried her over to the corner turnbuckle and decided that she was just going to choke her out. Chainsaw in this incarnation kind of reminds me of Abyss in TNA. Not that she, thinks that she's a monster necessarily. I mean, maybe she does. We haven't really established that as far as a interview or whatnot. But she was really just looking for the destruction of Keita Rush. And one of the best things that Keita did in here, she got a front face lock on Chainsaw and just took her down. And for a moment there, it looked like, okay, she might just actually pull this thing off until the superior strength of Chainsaw got it. And here's the part that I will say that I liked all of it. I'm not just going to say that. But one of the things that I really enjoyed here was, I'm beating the dead horse to say that I enjoyed the story that they told bell to bell, but the explanation point of the story that was told, that being Chainsaw just got sick of dealing with Keita. Keita was a game fighter, but Chainsaw, being the monster here, was not concerned about winning the match. She came in and she was taken down a couple of times with that front face lock, and then she just choked her. Pronouns. Chainsaw just double goozled Keita Rush, picked her up, put her down on the mat, choked her right in front of the referee as blatantly as possible. Not being concerned necessarily about the loss, or at least it didn't seem that way at the time. She puts her down. The referee's looking at her. She gives her the warning. She's okay, disqualification. The match goes to Keita Rush. Keita wins by DQ, but she's not letting go. So here comes Candy Crush to make sure Keita's okay. Here is where it works. Not like last time when Keita Rush just came out in the middle of Foxy Fierce's match for no apparent reason, because Foxy Fierce wasn't necessarily losing. She just wanted to interfere with Holiday. Here, despite the fact that the feud should be over, Crush comes out because I'm seeing my friend get choked out here. She is not following the rules. She's not going with what the referee's telling her to do. So I need to make sure that this is okay. All of this works. It works. So Chainsaw, because she refused to release the hold until she was forced into doing it. Now, no hands were exchanged between Candy Crush. Keita Rush, Candy Crush. Yeah, so no shots were exchanged between Candy Crush and Chainsaw, but her presence to make sure that she was off of her was, it was enough. So I thought this was fine. I thought it was fine. I would add one thing. I would prefer if the situation at the end were more frantic, like the bell ringing, the referee doing what she could, trying to pull her off, and whatever the case may be, and then Candy Crush comes. I mean, but again, that's just a nitpicky thing. It's not the right way. It's just the way that I would have suggested. So nothing lost there. I thought it was perfectly fine. I actually want to see Keita Rush do some more stuff, just based on that, because she brings a different element into the Wild ring. It would be nice to see her get back with the Bully Buzzers, but if not, then hey, I'm perfectly fine with her taking her singles career just going, as long as there's somewhere for her to go. I don't know if there's anywhere for her to go just yet, but if there's somewhere that she can get to, I would love to see that happen. We got another segment with the tag team championship being recapped, the feud being recapped. But somehow, them talking about the tag team championship feud being recapped leads to a main event match preview, which is Vickie, Lynn, McCoy versus Princess Aussie. If you did not listen to my podcast last week, this is exactly what I was talking about. This here is exactly what I was talking about when I say wow and their recaps. They reach around the back of their head to scratch their elbow. There's no, for what reason do we need to talk about the tag team championship when the match is Princess Aussie versus Vickie Lynn McCoy? Vickie Lynn McCoy, yes, I get it. She's associated with the Fabulous Four, but there's no real reason for her to, well, I shouldn't say her. There's no real reason for a Wild to be like, yeah, and the tag team championships were won and lost by so-and-so and this and that, and they got it back, and and they use that as a bridge to get, and Vickie Lynn McCoy helped her do it. And speaking of Vickie Lynn McCoy, she's got a match tonight. I was like, well, just start with Vickie Lynn McCoy, and she's got a match. She didn't have to, the entirety of her existence in Wild does not have to be lent around her helping the Coulson twins or Penelope Pink, which she actually did not do. They just keep saying it like they can will it into existence. Okay, so and before we move any further, the last note that I put in for the Chainsaw versus Keita Rush match is this Candy Crush feud still going on? I thought this was over. It's the same note that I had last week when she ran out and interfered in Holiday and Foxy Fierce's match. Why is this still going on? I mean, I didn't have a problem with Crush coming out here, and again, I think the scenario called for it. But shouldn't this be over with? I mean, why? Why are we still going on with this? Crush needs to move on to another angle or another feud, not just be involved in this non-stop, never-ending feud against the Monsters for months. There's no payoff here. There's no payoff that's going to be good enough at this point to justify this feud. It's already is past its expiration date. Once she got on the microphone and said, I don't need or want these gloves anymore, having already beaten everybody that she's got put in front of her, this is over with. Move on. Get her to something else. All right. Next segment was a backstage segment with Tiki, Chamorro, and the Tonga twins. As she decides that, hey, guys, I have a great idea, which is basically to do a, I don't know how to, I was going to say a dance that was native to her and maybe where she's from, and she wanted to share it with the Tongas. I don't know the exact name of what she's doing, but this is fine. I mean, first off, it wasn't silly. It had mild humor in it, but it was humor derived from the situation at hand. It wasn't like they were trying to purposely be funny, like let's tell jokes, ha ha. It was humor based on, and it wasn't even like gut busting humor. It was comical at points, but sweet. When Tiki comes in, it's like, hey guys, I got an idea, something we could do before the match. And she shows them, the dance that she does, and the Tongas do their version of it as if to, I don't want to say as if to say they don't get it, but that's the best way I could describe it. Or at least they feel like this version is better maybe. And Tiki's like, oh, okay. So she goes through it step by step, and every time they do it, she's like, yeah, okay, that's great, guys. So I mean, again, it was very lighthearted. It made sense. It wasn't anything that would throw the monkey wrench of plot line or angles or storyline off track. This also works. And it's good to see Tiki at least get more screen time so we can understand who she is. Although she needs to speak more, she needs to actually sit down and have a conversation with someone. They need to allot 2 or 3 minutes with some of these and I don't mean let's do a vignette and sit down and give me a life story and tell me all your tragedies and all that nonsense. We've already done that. A normal wrestling interview, a sports interview. It ain't even got to be do a sports interview. Tiki, nice having you here. We just want to know what's your plans here in a while. What is that? You've been here for a couple of weeks now. What do you think of the place? Something. Just something to help illustrate who she is. And same thing with the Tongans. We heard them say that they want to get another run at the Miami Sweet Heat, but we haven't really heard anything from that since then. Have them sit down with somebody, not David McLean. Have them sit down with somebody and let them talk. Hey, we had to help our little sister out. She was having some trouble, and we don't turn our back on blood, blah, blah, blah. But we are still in the hunt for these tag team championships. We should have won them the first time. We didn't get that, but we'll take that out on Miami Sweet Heat the next time we're in the ring with something, anything. Just to get people to understand who they are. If they do not have personalities that can help sell people to either watch the show or buy the tickets, then you're wasting your time. Next match and segment. Exile with Ice Cold versus the Tonga Twins with Tiki Chamorro. First note that I had when I wrote that down was, where is Malaya Hosaka? Was this absence explained? Question mark. The answer to both of those is I don't know where Malaya Hosaka is, and was it explained? Absolutely not. They didn't say anything about this unless somebody heard something that I didn't, and if you did, leave it in the comments and tell me where I can find it. But no, this was just something that was it kind of bugged me. It's like, all right, we got Exile, and I know the person that put the team together. Where is she? She's not there anymore. So the Island Dynasty is what they officially are working under, at least as far as the commentators are concerned. I don't think that they have taken that to heart on screen so much as the graphics are concerned yet, but they do refer to them as the Island Dynasty. So much so that the commentators referred to them before they even said it. But, it is what it is. The tiny persons in this match were Ice Cold for the heels and Tiki for the baby faces. It was perfectly fine with me that you had, I said before that Ice Cold is like she's super tiny, but I don't want to not retrospect, but I will say for her case, it works in this match because she had somebody that she was a favorable size to. So she wasn't completely outmatched or whatever the case would be. Now you see them come out here and Exile, they came out with like a bow staff and nunchucks, and Ice Cold's back there. She shoots out streamers from her fingers. It was a nice look, and it also kind of pads the whole thing with the Island Dynasty. Hey, Exile and Ice Cold had their own little thing that kind of get them prepared when they got out there. And so the Island girls have their thing to do too. So again, it kind of goes back to what she even walked in the locker room to present them in the first place. It works. We know that this was pretty much set up from Tiki getting the win over which one? It was one of them. I'm trying to remember off the top. I think it was Exodus. Was it Exodus? No. It was Genesis. He got the win over Genesis, and Genesis was upset, and therefore it kind of led to this. So again, we have a natural build here. We went from a single match between Tiki Chamorro and Genesis to where Genesis lost. They jumped her. The Tonga twins come out. They save her. Now we scoop it into this match, and here we go. So now we got the 6-person tag. Natural progression. I like it. Going towards the I guess the end of the match. Well, before I get to the end of the match, I did have one other note. Like, I don't know what is going on with Ice Cold right now. Not that she did anything wrong, not that she did anything bad. It's just that the persona of Ice Cold is like a lost puppy. She didn't have anywhere to go. She just she's just like a hanger on. She doesn't do anything on her own accord. She has only really hung around with other heel factions to no avail. She was there with Samantha Smart while they, needed her, I guess. And now she's here with Exile while they need her, I guess. I mean, where is she going to go next? She's going to be an honorary member of the Heavy Metal Sisters? I mean, she's going to join up with Lopez and hang around with her crew. It's Ice Cold has no purpose yet. She's just a extra wheel in the in the cog of heels that are in the Wild Locker Room. But anyway, somewhere within the course of the match, and I don't know if this is going to lead in anything because you never know of WoW. Exile and Ice Cold had a nice sequence of moves to kind of drop Tiki Chamorro in the middle of the ring, right? And Exile, they were doing all the good heel stuff. One of them ran around, I think it was Genesis, to grab one of the Tonga's legs to keep, just to annoy them and make them go out. And then that's when they hit it. It's like it was a leg drop, then it was a cartwheel, and there was another leg drop. And I mean, they just was dropping the boom on Tiki. But then it looked like the signals got crossed where both Ice Cold and both Genesis thought that they were supposed to stay in there, and then they had a little argument over it. It's like, well, I thought you were supposed to. No, you get out. No, you get out. And so while this is happening, Tiki's crawling over to the ring, and she makes the tag. Now, why both of the Tongas came in when she made the tag, I don't know. That part I don't get. She tagged one of them, but they both jumped in, and the referee didn't say or try to even get them out of the ring at all. I said this about him last week, and I don't know this guy. I'm sure he's a nice dude, but he comes off as a complete incompetent as a referee. Didn't even bother to count. It's like, seriously, you let them come in and double team, and then when they decide to get out and tag, then it's perfectly fine. So anyhow, the Tongas took control of the match. They cleaned house. They did their Samoan drop / net breaker to I think that was also Genesis. And then the referee is like, all right, you got to get out of the ring, get out of the money, doing the normal. Let me just go through the motions of stuff that he didn't mean. And then the Tongas did what the big sisters would or could do. They allowed the person who was wronged to get the pin. They took Tiki, they tagged her in. She goes up to the top rope after they've already laid out Genesis. Genesis is finished at this point because she already took the finish of the Tonga twins. They pick her up and they slam her down on Genesis. 1, 2, 3, we're done. And you got a pretty good match off of the six of them. I guess if we want to include the heels. So it was I'm telling this wrong. It was Exodus. I didn't even bother to look back at my notes. I was going off the top of my head. The twins hit their finish on Exodus and slammed Tiki on top of Exodus for the win. That's what I wrote. So it was Exodus that took the pinfall for the team of Exile, while Genesis and Ice Cold were tossed out to the floor. The next segment was a preview of next week's show and Lopez's new clients, which was supposed to be a mystery. The mystery's already been shattered. If you're on social media, if you follow them on Instagram, they've already unveiled who these two are. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if I would say unveiled so much as did their normal shtick. I don't even know why they bothered to say, and you guys, you'll see her mystery team later on. The first thing was that Vivian Rivera was easy to see. You could look at her and like, all right, yeah, even though she's got the mask on, I know that that's Rivera, so we're not gonna even pretend like this is some sort of hard thing to figure out. Now the other partner, that was where it was a little bit more tricky, because from what I got, it was somebody who had not been involved with WoW up until that point. I believe she does wrestle independently, but she wasn't on WoW, so it wasn't like he could just look at her face or look at her outfit or look at whatever and say, oh yeah, that's so and so. You know, I know that she was in this thing. So, you know, as far as I forget her name, because Sophia Lopez on Instagram has the post of who her new clients who her new clients are, and the name by which they will be going under, or at least that's what she has on her Instagram. They are listed as Las Banditas, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. Las Banditas, and it is the team of, as I just said, I was correct when I guessed it, of Vivian Rivera, and her partner is Sylvia Sanchez. So Lopez now has a new tag team that she will be dealing with and bringing towards WoW. My only hope, because their first match, as advertised, is going to be Steffi Slays and Jennifer Gen Z Flores. Bully Busters 3.0 maybe, I don't know. I mean, Flores is becoming much like Ice Cold was. She doesn't really have anything singularly to do. She just goes where needed, I guess. I don't know. They call her when they want her to be a tag team partner. So yeah, the only hope that I have walking into this next week, or when this episode airs, when, you know, by the time you're hearing this, is that Las Banditas win. That is the only hope that I have. They do not need to walk into this company as a new tag team, matching outfits with what was formerly the number one manager in WoW. I can't say that now since Lana Starr's got all the championships. Maybe Lopez will get it back. But they don't need to walk in there with, you know, this new look, with the manager trying to reestablish things and then go in there and lose. They need to win. And they need to win, not just win, they need to win convincingly. They need to be a tag team that can be reckoned with and people can respect. Now, that has nothing to do with episode 29. That'll be on episode 30. I just, you know, that's a little bit of a preview for those of you that are not aware of what was going on. Well, the next segment features a rematch. I guess that's part of the title because, you know, WoW names their episodes. They got Rulebooks and Rematches. That's the name of the episode. But here we have the Mother Truckers, Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag, getting a rematch against GI Jane and the Disciplinarian, of course, with Samantha Smart at ringside. I just said that this was a rematch, and the time that they did it previously, the heels won. They won via GI Jane and not a follow-in. It was like a fall forward power slam. I don't want to call it the world's strongest slam because she ain't Mark Henry. But so yeah, she nailed it on Big Rig Betty and got the pin. Here, they were coming back for the rematch, because if you did not see before, GI Jane was able to apply that because Samantha Smart got up on the apron while the ref's back was turned and smacked Big Rig Hetty on the back of the head with her yardstick, which stunned her just enough for GI Jane to get that final move in. I'm beginning to like GI Jane. I still think she's green, but I'm beginning to like GI Jane. She has a lot of good facial expression. You can pretty much tell what's going on with her in the ring by her face, and she comes off as like ridiculously cocky, but also somehow as the muscle of the team. So it's nice. I think she probably needs to be in there with a couple other people, and this might have been as good of a match for her to start off with. Big Rig Betty, who wrestled as Amazing Maria, been at it for a while. Holly Swag's been doing it for about 2 or 3 years at this point, and she's got a lot of practice underneath her. I wish they had stuck with the Free Babes, or I wish she had stuck with the Free Babes. And of course, the Disciplinarian, 2-time Reality of Wrestling Women's Champion, Diamonds Division Champion. So anyway, I say all of that to say is that she's got as good people to work around as anyone. And one of those things that she did really well was she put that boot across Holly Swag's face with authority. Just smacked her with it. Just boom. And dropped her. And again, I mean, it's the things like that that make me, that started winning me over with Jane. I was like, if somebody took a hold of her and really started giving her extra stuff to do, I think that she can get somewhere. This was a standard truckers match, or a standard mother truckers match. Big Rig starts off, doesn't take a lot of bumps. Swag gets tagged in, she gets tossed around, and Rig comes back in for the cleanup. And but who actually gets the pin is up to them. But yeah, it's a standard truckers match. There's really not much here. I mean, there was an angle, there was a lead in. Like I said, this was a rematch. The truckers are trying to get revenge for being cheated, the last time that they faced each other. So it's not cold. It's not a match just out of nowhere just for the sake of having a match out of nowhere. It is a match with a purpose. So now, at the end of the match, of course, we got to do the hot tag scenario where Holly Swagger, like I said, they were cutting her off and beating her up to get the heat on her. So the job becomes, can she get over there to tag her mother, Big Rig Betty? And that is her legitimate mother, by the way. Big Rig comes in, and just like I said before, in the standard truckers match, she comes in, cleans house. Doesn't take many bumps, but she cleans house. In fact, the only thing that she took maybe one since she's been on TV, nobody knocks her down. And even when she did go down, somebody kind of carried him in that power slam. She carried her down probably as safely as she could. But as that was happening, Big Rig, both the Disciplinarian and Rig hit each other, which caused Rig to go back to her corner. Swag tags in. Disciplinarian goes out to Jane. Jane got Swag into a position where Samantha Smart would have, or was going to attempt to hit her in the head with the yardstick. Referee stops it. Swag is behind her, and the referee is yelling, arguing with the manager, Samantha Smart. And what do you know? She comes up behind GI Jane, and she gets the big roll up, and 1, 2, 3. Holly Swag has pinned GI Jane out of the clear blue. And, I mean, what can you say? And the other thing that has to be noted here is that she didn't just let her go. GI Jane tossed her aside because she had to get into the referee's face about yelling at her manager. So it was a distraction on top of a distraction, which works here because they have portrayed Holly as kind of, lightweight, and not that she isn't tough, but of the two, she's the least stronger between her mother and her. So she's tossed to the side. Jane gets into the referee's face while Samantha Smart standing out there also. Swag comes up, rolls her up. 1, 2, 3, like I said, and they win the match. And there you go. They have now tied it up. Not that there's a series, but we have tied it up. We're even now. And they can go and say, all right, look, when you're not able to cheat, this is what happens. They get on the microphone and they cut a promo on Samantha Smart. Like, I think you're the IQ inferior and this, that, and the other. So my question now is, does this continue? Do we continue going on while they're there, I guess I should say? Do we go back to a third match, which honestly would make sense at this point? They should have a tiebreaker. I don't know if they will, but they should have a tiebreaker of some description. Maybe, this is one of those cases where maybe it's 2 out of 3 falls with Smart handcuffed to the pole. I don't know. They need to come up with their own stipulations. I'm just saying, because of the way that has gone so far, and I thought that has gone very well, a third match would not upset me at all. It wouldn't upset me in the least. I thought this was pretty good. And I put down in my note, this match is fine as a rematch, but it will be better if there's a tiebreaker between teams. That was the note that I put down. And I will stand by that. This will be better if there's a tiebreaker that happens between the teams. It'd be nice to see this thing resolve and resolve correctly. We are now off to the second to last segment, which features Vickie Lynn McCoy, which is a vignette and video package that sets her up as the enforcer of the Fabulous Four, and previews the next match of Aussie versus McCoy in the main event. So we go to the final segment, which is the final match and the main event of the show. As I said, Vickie Lynn McCoy with Samantha Smart against Princess Aussie. For whatever reasons, WoW is trying to sell Vickie Lynn as the reason of the success of the Fabulous Four without any visual proof of that whatsoever. They're trying to recreate history, which is something that WoW does from time to time. But they're trying to recreate history. Like, oh, yeah, she was the sole reason that Penelope Pink won the championship. She was the reason that the Coulson twins won the tag team championship. All right, so before we get into that, let's go backwards here about what they're talking about. What they're trying to say is that Penelope Pink won the championship of WoW because Vickie Lynn McCoy helped her win the championship, despite the fact that she wasn't on that show at all. Never appeared. She didn't even appear when Penelope Pink won the title. She just was MIA. She was absent. Okay, so she didn't really help with Penelope Pink. She didn't help her at all. I'm not even going to say really. She did not help her at all. And then you got the tag team championship with the they're the Go Hard twins on the Independents, but with the Miami Sweet Heat. So now you talk about that match. In that match, Vickie Lynn McCoy did nothing to help them. She tried to help them, but it ultimately wound up almost backfired. She slid in the mirrors, which I still don't like that prop, but she slid the mirrors in for the Miami Sweet Heat to use. They were not able to get them because McCoy slid them too far. And then you got Campanelli and Rara who grabbed the mirrors and smacked the twins in the head. So again, it's not that she did anything to help. She hasn't really done all that much as part of the unit for them. So, and the note that I had is, when did Vickie help Penelope Pink win? This didn't happen, and she almost cost the tag team championships. But yet, this is the narrative that WoW wants to tell. Oh yeah, she's the glue, and they're holding us together because they won't be able to win without Vickie and all that other stuff. She's the reason for the success, despite the fact that she hasn't done anything, and they don't have any viable means to back that claim up whatsoever. It is a complete recreation of history. The one thing I can say with the match that is indisputable is that they portrayed Lynn like a powerhouse. It is as good a showing of strength out of anybody that's been in the wild. I guess I should out of anybody that has been there to illustrate strength in the wild, is as good a show of strength as any of them. That's what I was trying to get out of my mouth. Sorry, I was fumbling over my words. Must be the marbles that's in there. So the match in and of itself, perfectly fine match. Then didn't have a problem with it. Not even the fact that McCoy had to have aid to win. She should have. She's a heel. And she, again, is playing the part of the heavy, so to speak. And maybe that might be a wrong choice of words, but she's playing the enforcer of the Fab Four group. So, during the match, when Aussie gets some level of control over Vickie Lynn McCoy, she was going to attempt a high fly maneuver. Her finish appears to be the frog splash. Now, before this took place, again, Vickie, Lana did her job. She tried to interfere and pushed the ropes towards Vickie Lynn, even though Vickie was in the middle of the ring while she had a submission. But the fact that Lana tried was important. Aussie was able to take control again. But here again, Princess Aussie, she snaps Vickie Lynn McCoy with a cutter. Before she can get up to the top rope, Lana Starr literally throws her body in the way as an obstacle. She climbs up and puts herself on top of the turnbuckle. She doesn't touch Princess Aussie, but she gets up there just to prevent Aussie from going. And this is the same referee that I said comes off as pretty incompetent sometimes. But in this particular case, I'm going to give it a pass because you could kind of make the argument that, okay, Lana made it a point not to touch her opponent, even though she was all in the way. So I guess disqualification is at his discretion. But in any case, it distracted Aussie long enough to where Vickie Lynn got up, pulled Aussie back, and gave her essentially a standing blue thunder bomb. The only thing that can be pointed out as far as the blue thunder bomb is concerned is that she looked like she could have broken this woman's neck. I mean, she gave her a good blue thunder bomb. She gave that, or sit out power bomb if you want to call it that. But the top of her back and the back of her head came down on Vickie Lynn McCoy's leg/knee brace. So I'm sure that did not feel good. And this is one of those cases where I advocate for the cut of the footage. The editors here cut the footage. When the impact came down, they just clicked to the other camera shot. So, you didn't have to really deal with seeing what was potentially very nasty impact on the back of Princess Aussie's head. But in any case, that was it. She pops her with that, the sit out power bomb. 1, 2, 3. We're done. Vickie Lynn McCoy takes the match. Following that, why on earth was I about to say Janet? Lana. I'm sorry, folks. I have no idea where that came from. At the end of the match, Lana Star picks up the microphone and she goes over and starts gloating like, hey, this is my enforcer. She's the glue that holds us together for the greatest wrestling faction of all time. Now, look, I know that that's a huge stretch to be saying the Fabulous Four are the greatest wrestling faction of all time. Not the Horsemen, not DX, not the NWO, not the Dangerous Alliance, not the Freebirds, none of them. Not the Bloodline. They're just them, right? But no, I mean, it still works fine because what is Lana Star? She's a heel. She's supposed to lie. She's supposed to put her team over. She's supposed to do these things. So, I mean, her saying that we got the greatest faction ever formed in wrestling is fine. Let her have that. That's the way it's supposed to be. All right, so when she's done talking, and it needs to be noted that Lana Star has gotten far better as a wrestling promo than what she was. The mic is given to Vickie Lynn. And Vickie basically establishes her position as the group enforcer, telling everybody on the microphone the only way that you're going to get to either Miami's Sweet Heat or Penelope Pink is to go through me. This is where I say they didn't need the commentators to try to build this up. They didn't need the commentators to tell everybody, Vickie Lynn McCoy is the glue and this, that, and the other, and she's the reason that they won a championship, because it would have started right here. It would have started right here. And from this point out, she needs to play an integral part in all of these things. Up until people get sick of it and they have to have a handcuff to put in a shark cage or banned from the ringside or banned from the building. By the time it gets to that point, it should be something that the fans want to see. They want to see them out and out of the way. But McCoy hasn't been that. Vickie Lynn McCoy has Vickie Lynn McCoy has just been established as the enforcer. Before now, she was just a face to some degree. And they didn't need to go back and oh yeah, she did all that. Unnecessary. Let's just go with her cutting the promo, and the promo is going to be enough. She has a lot of command when she's speaking, and I really don't think there's any reason that you should not put a microphone in that woman's hand. Honestly, I really don't think there's a reason for them not to put a microphone in her hand. She seems very comfortable with what she's doing. She's very comfortable with what she's saying. Hold on a second, folks. I needed that. I almost got through, but then I got a little parched. So I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, having her established here gives her purpose. And I'm good with that. She needs purpose in the group because there's no other championship to get. And Wow has made it clear, or David McLean has made it clear, he doesn't want another championship. He doesn't want a second-tier championship, and that's his prerogative. But I do think that they need something as an interim thing for people who cannot go after the championships to get or gain. A trophy, a medal, a plaque, I don't know, just something that can be awarded that person could use. So here we go. It is made very clear Vickie Lynn McCoy's job. And as of this point, she seems to relish that job. And that she is going to essentially be the wall that if anybody wants to get in on this and challenge for some championships, you got to get past me. And I like it. I like that she did this and said this all with absolute conviction. There was no wink and a nod. She wasn't trying to be cute. She wasn't trying to portray some cartoon character or something like that. It was serious and it was straightforward. You know, while I talk, you listen. And if anybody wants a shot at these girls, then you got to go through me. I mean, it's not going to be any more simple than that. And that does not require some TV writer to do it. All they needed was just to let the natural booking choices take its place. And it did. Lana's never explained why winning all the championships are important to her and what does she have to gain with having these titles. Now, of course, in normal wrestling logic, it was always the case of, well, whoever holds the belt has the power. They can get things done. They get more money. And as long as I have that, my lifestyle is good. I will continue to do the things I want to do and live the life I want to live. WoW hasn't really established that. It's just wins and losses and, so on and so forth. So, and it's not like they have to establish every single win and loss, but what I think they should establish is, why are these championships important to Lana? Is it just a case of, well, as long as I got the championships, I'm in control? She has a delusion that it's the Lana Star Show, as she likes to call it. The Lana Star Show. She's been calling that thing the Lana Star Show for 23 years. Not nonstop, of course, but 23 years. And it's just, I guess it's her gimmick, and that's fine. But again, you have to. I think it would be nice to give some of these secondary persons, Vickie, Lynn, McCoy included, some side task that they can do, because they as well do not have enough time to feature everybody and have them go after something important or have some sort of personal angle. A lot of these people don't have personal angles, for all intents and purposes. They just kind of exist. But the promo at the end was pretty good. I thought Vickie Lynn was a much better promo. Not to say that Lana was bad, but she is a much better promo than Star. She has, again, a lot of conviction behind what she's saying. And that's it. That right there is all of episode 29. And there's, you might have heard that. I think I just hit my mic stand. But it continues on. It seems like it's doing better and growing and changing the things that don't work into the things that do. I have very little complaint here. When I look back at the notes of the show, Kid Rush goes over on Chainsaw. Tonga Twins and Tiki Chamorro go over on Exile and Ice Cold. The Mother Truckers go over on GI Jane and the Disciplinarian. And Vickie and McCoy goes over on Princess Aussie. It has been, with the exception of the main event, it was an all babyface show. You could have left this show happy if you had just stopped at the Mother Truckers. But, we don't tend to listen like that. When Vickie Lynn McCoy, well, let me back this up a little bit, because they were talking about Vickie Lynn in the commentary. What I was about to say was, when Vickie Lynn McCoy came out the ringside, there were kind of some small hints of, well, would she challenge for the championship? And because this is supposed to have been a route of Princess Aussie to try to get ranked for a championship match, but she's in there with Vickie Lynn McCoy. Vickie Lynn having won, then the question was like, well, would she now be in line to challenge for it? Would she even try to challenge for it? And of course, they're having not a debate, but they're having a small discussion at the desk, and it didn't really go in, to be honest, it really didn't go anywhere. But I can say that McCoy above most of them, in my opinion, seems to fit the part. And that's probably about the highest praise that I could give her. She seems to fit the part. And she also seems to believe in what she is saying and doing. The only other thing that you could put into this scenario, as far as talking about it, or the setup of the program, is don't start with things that have not occurred. If they wanted to establish Vickie Lynn as the glue and that she's always there helping and doing what she needs to do for the team, they didn't have to go anywhere beyond this promo. The promo would have been enough. And she wouldn't have had to reference anything past tense that never took place. All she would have had to do was say it up front. Hey, as of this moment, you want to get them, you're going through me. Just take that to the bank. So we know what's going on. I know there's people out there that's lined up to get the title shots right now. But Lana Star pays me exceptionally well, and I am going to earn my keep and my money by shutting down anybody that wants a part of what she's created. Now, that's just me. Now, I came up with that off the top of my head. But it's not the promo that's the thing. It is only trying to get I just lost it. It is trying to get Vickie Lynn as something. That's it. You know, I may have to look over that, make sure that made sense what I was talking about. I got wrapped up in that one, folks. I got wrapped up in that one. But hey, man, look, if I had an applause button, I would start it up right now for McCoy. I do like it. Oh yeah. You know what? I remember what I was talking about now, because I went off the rails with that. But I remember what I was talking about. What I was about to say is that they started planting the seeds for a turn because of the tournament thing. Well, I shouldn't say tournament. The potential that if Aussie had beaten Vickie Lynn, that she was going to be a number one contender. So then it was questioned like, okay, well, if Vickie Lynn McCoy wins, does she go and challenge for it? See, now those are good things, and I like that. I don't even mention this very often with the commentators, but I like that they planted the seeds. Now, I don't think they need to do that immediately. Vickie Lynn needs to play the role of that she's established for herself for a while. Be the enforcer. Don't just turn around and be like, oh, I hate this group and I'm challenging you. You know, be the enforcer, be there for a while. So that by the time it gets there, if there is a point where she has to turn or they turn on her, it will mean something. Don't just do it inside of 2 weeks just because. Show some goddamn restraint. So that was the main event match, but it was not the last segment. The final segment of the show was Samantha Smart on the phone, like at the trucking docks or something like that, calling to get a truck towed, and saying, hey, look, I just want you to tow it. The price is no object. I mean, she didn't say that, but pretty much in different terminology, that's what she was saying. I'm not concerned with the price. And they asked, like, where are you taking it to Jackson, Tennessee? So now, if I'm a guessing man, it seems like Samantha Smart is trying to get even with the mother truckers. So I'm going to get their truck towed from Los Angeles to Jackson, Tennessee to teach them a lesson. Like, that would be crazy expensive to tow this thing across the country and more or less get this company to commit a crime in stealing my vehicle. So you know, when you think about it that way, the plan that Samantha Smart is coming up with ain't so smart. The mother truckers might have something, like maybe she is an IQ inferior. I was like, what do you stand to gain from this? This should cost you a pretty penny to get this big ass truck hauled from Los Angeles from one coast to the next. It's like a day worth of driving. Well, actually, it's probably longer than that. To get to Jackson, Tennessee. And she didn't say where in Jackson, Tennessee, just Jackson, Tennessee. And what is this supposed to teach? What lesson is other than I can screw around with you? I mean, what is this supposed to do? Like I said, I'm not sure if the person that is, we'll call it a prank, if the person who's getting pranked is on the worst end of the stick or the person who's pulling the prank. Because I'm thinking if you're a mother trucker, first off, they both had their own vehicles when they got introduced. So is Samantha Smart getting them both towed, and she's going to have a tow truck towed, and she's going to get a large truck towed out of there as well, both of which cross country. Is that what she was aiming to do? That's ridiculous. It doesn't sound like a well thought out plan. And then I wish I could go on and figure out, okay, how much would this cost just to do that? Because past 100 miles, that's when they really start clocking you. I have worked in the towing industry. I know what I'm talking about. And I didn't even work independently. I worked for AAA. So, I had less to deal with the money. But when I'm looking at something like that, it's like, okay, she asking somebody to do these things. She ain't dealing with no big company. She's just dealing with tow truck drivers. And, yeah, I guess if they wanted to pay bad enough, then I go. But you got to imagine this has to be thousands of dollars. I can't imagine any tow truck driver saying, I'd be perfectly fine taking this across for a few $100. Unless they were already going. This has to be good money to want to do that. Even to attempt to want to do that. It's got to be good money. Which I doubt that Samantha Smart is providing. So again, got a question like, who's being smart here? This does not sound like a smart plan. It just seems so silly, so silly. Take this tow truck to Jackson. You could have just took it to the dump, or parked it across town, or something. To rip off the tires or flatten. I mean, if they just wanted to have her get even, they're like, come on, her truck, seriously, yeah, yeah. But that's wow. That's wow. As a matter of fact, that's what my coworker said. Was looking at, and I said, who in their right mind would do this? And he just looked at me as like, hey man, it's wow. And when he said that to me, I wrote on my paper, I said, this is probably the best explanation that could be offered. It's like, hey, man, it's wow. Like, that excuses everything. It just excuses it all. Whatever nonsensical thing that they do, hey, man, it's wow. So, we'll leave it at that. I am interested to see where this is going. I don't know if they will even bother to follow up with this story, but before we get off, I am going to give you the preview of what WoW is supposed to be doing next. In episode 30, this is going to be called Defending the Title. I'm going to read this as it was sent to me. The world's greatest attorney, Sophia Lopez, has a mysterious new tag team to introduce at WoW. Well, I've already spoiled that. I told you who's in it. And the name of the team. Well, if they didn't want that to be out there before this press release, you probably should tell their roster not to be posting stuff. So, anyway, I move on. Also in action today, in what promises to be a hard-hitting brawl of a match, Reina Del Rey and Wrecking Ball team up to take on the Heavy Metal Sisters. I do not understand why we have that match. Now that I'm reading it, last time I saw Reina Del Rey and Wrecking Ball in the same ring with each other, they were beating the crap out of each other. Why are they teamed up to take on the Heavy Metal Sisters? I continue. Plus, Coach Campanelli and Randy Rara face Gigi Gianni and Amber Rodriguez. While World Champion Penelope Pink's highly anticipated first title defense takes place, will Penelope retain, or will Lana Starr's mantle have one less decoration? I don't do predictions very often, but I'm going to do some right now. I'm going to predict, and I'll probably, I don't know how much this is right. I'm aiming for at least 3 out of 4. I'm going to say the new tag team from Sophia Lopez goes over. I'm going to say Del Rey and Wrecking Ball team up to defeat the Heavy Metal Sisters. Not sure why they're teaming up, but, again, is what it is. And lack of continuity. Hey, man, it's wild. Campanelli and Rara versus Gianni and Rodriguez. I would be surprised. I'm going to go with the underdogs here, and I say underdogs to Rodriguez and Gianni because they haven't won anything. They need this win. Rara and Campanelli have already, won and gotten to the championship and whatnot. But the fashionistas, as I call them, they need this win. They probably won't, but they need this win. So I'm going to leave my pick as Gianni and Rodriguez. And in the main event, I'm just going to go right up with Penelope Pink because I cannot fathom that they would have her win the championship and lose it the first time she did. You know what? Let me not even say that. As that was coming out of my mouth, I was like, they probably would do something stupid like that. But in this case, I am going to go with Penelope Pink. Who is she defending against? Good grief. They didn't say. Wow, champion Penelope Pink, highlighted first time. All right. I think her defense, if I'm not mistaken, is supposed to be against Leia McCoy. And she's already beaten her. She beat her in what was supposed to have been a qualifying match. But that didn't really go anywhere, so, she never even showed up on the screen. So we'll skip past that, and I'll just say that I am going to go with Penelope Pink. She has to retain and not just lose the championship in a throwaway match. She's got to retain so that this can go somewhere. And that the championship, when won by someone else, will actually have some value to it. So those are the predictions. That was the entire review. Wow. Continues to move forward. I have a bunch of notes for episodes of WoW, going back to show number 1. I mean, it's almost like a book that I got sitting up on my desk with this stuff now. I'm pages into this thing. Pages, I tell you. So in any case, let me just wrap this up. I thank you all for listening and humoring me and allowing me to go through this review for the shows, for WoW, for their roster, and so on and so forth. I will say that there are some other things that should be popping up, some interviews and whatnot. We're trying to make sure we get some more people so we can always continue to spread the word of some of the great lady wrestlers / athletes that exist out there. And we will keep moving it forward. And hopefully, once I get this all done and edited and you're listening to it, I'll be at home on the computer editing the first interview I've done the first time in a long time. I've got Brittany Brooks, who will be on the show. And that'll give you something to tune into. A super fan. And she's ready to work. Absolutely. She's already on the independents, already worked WrestleMania weekend. I think this is her first year into the business, and she's, getting calls. She got herself out there. But that's neither here nor there. You can listen to the interview once it's posted. It will be done in short order. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Green saying that this is Mr. Green saying so long, and we will see you on the next go round. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.